He was always the quiet kid in the back of the class. You know the type. The one whose name teachers could never quite remember. The one who always ended up working alone on group projects, not by choice, but because no one ever picked him. Walking through the school hallways was like running a gauntlet. The whispers, the snickers, the sideways glances. They followed him everywhere. They called him invisible, but they made sure he felt every single mocking stare. His appearance, his quiet nature, everything was a target. He tried to shrink himself, to become even smaller, hoping that if he were quiet enough, they'd just forget he existed, but it never worked. The teasing was relentless, a constant reminder of how little he seemed to matter to anyone around him. One afternoon, the final bell rang, and as he was packing his bag, trying to disappear before anyone noticed him, he overheard a conversation. It wasn't even directed at him, but the words hit him like a physical blow. Two classmates were talking, and one said, with a dismissive laugh, "Oh, him? He'll never be anything. He'll never do anything important." The other one just nodded in agreement. In that moment, something inside him shattered. He'd always felt inadequate, but hearing it spoken so casually as an undeniable fact was devastating. He walked home that day with his head down, the words echoing in his mind. He'll never be anything. It was the cruelest thing he had ever heard, because a part of him was terrified they were right. That night was different. He went to his room, closed the door, and for the first time he didn't cry. Instead, a quiet anger started to burn where the sadness used to be. He looked at his reflection in the dark window and made a promise. Not to them, not to anyone else, but to himself. He promised that he would not let their words define his future. He promised himself that he would become someone he could be proud of. It wasn't about revenge. It was about survival. It was about proving to the person in the mirror that he was worth more than they could ever see. This was his turning point, the quiet declaration of a war he intended to win. The very next morning, his new life began. The alarm went off an hour earlier than usual. It was still dark outside, but he forced himself out of bed. He started with simple things, exercises he could do right there on his bedroom floor, following free workout videos he found online. It was awkward at first, his body clumsy and weak, but he pushed through the burn. He didn't just work on his body. He started working on his mind. He devoured every free educational video, every podcast, every article he could find on building confidence, learning new skills, and developing a positive mindset. He taught himself how to stand taller, how to make eye contact, how to speak with a little more certainty. There was no grand announcement. No one knew. It was his secret project. The first few months, nothing seemed to change on the outside. The bullies were still bullies. The world still treated him as if he were invisible. But inside, a shift was happening. Every completed workout, every new skill learned was a small victory. He was building himself up brick by brick in the quiet solitude of his own room. Slowly, the months turned into a year. The early mornings and late nights of self-improvement became his routine, his new normal. He wasn't just going through the motions anymore. He was starting to enjoy the process. He felt stronger, not just physically, but mentally. The whispers in the hallway started to sound distant, like noise from another world that no longer concerned him. Then people started to look again. It wasn't a sudden event, but a gradual realization. A teacher called on him in class, and he answered with a clear, confident voice. A classmate who once ignored him asked for his opinion on a project. Someone in the hallway who used to mock him just gave a nod, a silent sign of respect. It was strange. They looked at him, and for a moment, they seemed confused, as if they were seeing a stranger. But the truth is, he hadn't become someone else. He hadn't changed to please them or to fit in. All that work, all those hours, it was all to finally become the person he always was on the inside. The strong, capable, and worthy person who had been buried under years of doubt and fear. He didn't win by changing their minds. He won by changing his own. And in doing so, he showed everyone, without saying a word, that the person they thought would be nothing had become everything he was meant to be. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, please follow for more.